It's the Bush League Mud Show.
It's the Bush League Mud Show. Let's go.
Are you ready?
Make some noise!
Yo, what is going on? Another edition of the Bush League Mud Show. This is your AEW Dynamite review for January 26, 2022. I'm Slade
PJ.
Be sure to like and subscribe, as always, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and also follow us on social media. Promise we'll follow back at Bush League MS Pod. AEW Dynamite, PJ, in Cleveland. And an event titled Beach Break, because the last week of January in Cleveland, I'm thinking about beaches.
You're damn right. The beautiful Lake Erie beaches were some of the best in the world.
Well,
at the end of January, where else would you rather be?
This show had some of its corny moments. We will talk about that as we go through this review. We won't make it too long. It wasn't really a memorable show by any means, but it also wasn't the worst. Three-man commentating team. Of course, we got JR, Excalibur, Tony Schiavone. This was at the Wolstein Center, and this was all built around two matches, predominantly for the night. That was going to be the ladder match for the TNT title, the Undisputed. Because, of course, Cody was out for a week, and it was enough to build an angle where we need. And I told you they were going to do this ladder shit.
They were.
And there you go. And then the lights-out, unsanctioned match between Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. So we start this off. I'm going to say this. I'm glad that this event started off with the match that it did, because after this match, you can make the argument this show went downhill in a way. Cody versus Guevara, TNT title. Undisputed title, as we mentioned before. This match started off fast with Cody going after Guevara, hit a drop kick, and ended up mocking his brother. Went down for that drop-down uppercut, but it was quickly blocked by Guevara. They did a technical style match the early part of this of this title bout. Like, I mean, of course, you got to pace yourself in these ladder matches, but it's a 2-hour program, and there were other things that were being promoted, so we knew this wasn't going to go anywhere near like 45 minutes or anything like that. But they did go a pretty good solid half an hour, I want to say, just about, or maybe about, no, just a little bit over 20 minutes. It felt like a half an hour. But anyways, technical style match until quickly they went to the spot shit. So we get to the outside. Cody immediately grabs a ladder. He props it up between the ring post and the barricade, the gates where the fans were. And I was joking around with you. I was like, is Cody so hated that the fans would just say, "Oh, fuck you," and just knock the ladder down? And you were like, I would do it.
I would do it. And you will notice in this match, if you watch it back, how many times Cody actually goes up to fans
to see if they're
he was simping. If they're okay, too, after the spots. And it's just like, what the hell is this all about? You're not supposed to give a damn. You're about trying to win the match. And it was kind of strange throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, Cody grabbed a ladder. It got broken up. So then they decided to head into the crowd. And as you mentioned before, Cody, he was checking on fans because he was bumping into them. Yeah. This was basically a distraction as they went at it, slug out. And then Cody decided to stop and high-five the fans. So he was sipping with the fans, too.
Yeah.
It was like he was really begging for approval.
Very much, yeah.
And this was a distraction that allowed Sammy to dive over the barricade with a cutter on Cody. We get back into the ring. Sammy starts loading up the ladder, but then Cody, he's well enough to get up and break that up without much trouble. They both collide. It knocks him down, and then they slowly climb with Cody hitting a scary delayed vertical suplex off the ladder. It was a very I was sitting there, I was watching. It was well done, but I was like, damn, I know that hurt both guys.
Yeah,
that was a long drop.
I mean, it was kind of similar to what he did in the cage match with Wardlow. I mean, off the top of that cage.
And I had to do my research and my homework as this match was going on. I was really trying to find, because as this spot is going on, the ref, clear as day, is holding the ladder.
Yes.
And I'm looking to try to find any kind of footage of whoever has reffed ladder matches in the past, if we've ever seen the refs hold on to the ladder for support for the workers. No, they usually made sure that the ladder was stable before the matches, right? So
and
this is
Razor
regular,
Shawn, I can't think of it.
This is a regular thing in AEW. Reps are holding ladders, so clearly they're not putting enough in the budget to make sure they go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or wherever to get very sufficient, stable ladders for these ladder matches.
I mean, it was kind of strange seeing that spot, but, that's kind of what AEW does. I mean, they do things like that where you do notice the refs are getting a little more involved than they usually should be in these matches.
Well, after that, we ended up taking a commercial break. We came back. Cody dropped Sammy ribs first on an upside-down ladder. Sammy took some big bumps in this match. I mean, I'm like, damn, man, is he all right? Cody ends up locking on a figure four with Sammy's legs tied into the rungs of the ladder. This didn't last too long. He let go pretty soon. Sammy, he was fighting back, kicked away, attempted to hit a springboard, but he got cut off with a ladder to the face. So, again, Sammy taking shots in this match. That allowed Cody to go back up the ladder, and then Sammy attempted another springboard. This time he hit it. This was one of the coolest fucking things I've seen in recent memory for me. Hit the springboard. Cody's on one ladder going for the belt. Sammy's on the other ladder. Sammy's able to springboard and from the top of the ladder hit a cutter on Cody. They both come crashing down. That got the crowd going back into this match again. Not that they were ever really down, but you could tell definitely this crowd was pro Sammy all the way.
Yes.
Anything else, anything different with the ending of this match would have been a big-time disappointment.
Yeah.
But after they both crash down, Sammy goes up again. Cody shoves the ladder over. That sent Sammy crashing into the rope. And somehow Sammy was well enough to get back up. And so Cody decided to hit a crossroads to bring him back down. And that damn near sent the ladder into the referee. So the referee almost took a pretty big shot, too. They both end up going up. They wind up hanging on to the bar. This is probably the most, dangerous spot. I mean, we've seen this in ladder matches, TLC matches before, right? Guys hanging off the rung that's hanging from above, But, high is high, and that's a long drop, and that's that plywood, that wrestling ring, that damn thing hurts coming down. So they're both hanging on to the bar. The belts are attached to. So, of course, we get a double crash out of that. They both roll to the outside. They use that for a breather. This was the dumb part of the match. This match was predominantly a spot fest, as we expected. AEW ladder match. We knew that this was going to be nothing but a spot fest. This was the dumbest fucking part of the match because I didn't need to see it. Cody's tying the leg into the ladder of Sammy, but here comes Fuego del Sol to come down to beg Cody for some mercy. It is a ladder match.
Ladder match, folks. Yeah.
I didn't understand. It was unnecessary. We have not seen Fuego del Sol on Dynamite in how long?
I don't know if the guy's got a 38 match losing streak or whatever the hell it was. So, I mean, why would Cody even give a shit what this guy is saying? He's a fucking loser. He doesn't win matches. So why? Yeah, the spot made no sense. Arn should have got the Glock out, I guess. I don't know. It didn't make any sense.
So with that, Cody decides to hit Fuego with a J driller inside, but then Sammy, he comes back up with a save and hits a GTH onto the floor.
Which, again, why? Well, why are we using that move?
We get a big flip dive to the floor. That takes Cody down again. Now, Cody, he's laid over a ladder that's bridged between the ring and the barricade. That allows Sammy to climb the big ladder, which was the ladder at that moment that was not underneath the title.
Yeah.
I mean, because that would just make too much sense, right?
Yeah, of course.
He ends up hitting a swanton on Cody. The ladder didn't really give much on that. So I know that definitely hurt. These guys definitely hurt themselves quite a bit, I'm sure, in this match. They're both down. They both slowly get back up. Sammy hits him in the head with one of the belts for the big knockdown. I actually like that, the finish with him kind of rearing back with the belt that was on the rung and just kind of just knocking Cody's ass out. Crowd pop big. Sammy pulls down the titles, and he is now your undisputed TNT champion.
Did you notice they didn't know the rules of the goddamn match when he was pulling the titles down? As he pulled the one title down, commentary's like, all right, he's got one in his hand, and they rang the damn bell. Apparently, he was supposed to grab both titles.
I thought that's what everyone assumed, right? You got to pull them both down.
Well, they rang the bell after he had the one title in his hand, and then he reached and got the other one. They called the damn match. Whoever was on the bell ring and did it a little prematurely, but we obviously knew it was going to happen after the big fall with Cody and all that.
Yeah. Like I said before, AEW Spot Fest type of match, ladders involved, all that stuff. We saw a bunch of moves that. It's a lot of stuff that just didn't make any sense. As these guys could have just gone for the belt. We could have gotten a little bit more action with the guys going after the belt. They decided to do some sideways shit, get their shit in. Some good spots though.
Well,
the cutter,
that's the thing.
like I said, the cutter was one of the coolest things I saw. If you can weed out some of the shit that maybe you didn't like about this match. Bottom line, Sammy won, and that was the right decision. Yeah. That was the only decision that you were going to be able to make this crowd in Cleveland happy, and there you go.
Yeah, but with a ladder match, they've got to understand less is more for those impact moves. I mean, like you said, they got to get a lot of that out of there. I understand it looks great, and all the fans want to see him flying around, but, some of the most memorable matches that we've known with ladder matches, it's just they weren't doing multiple 30 minutes of just spots off the ladders and involving them. I mean, Shawn and Razor, remember him setting it up in the corner and using it that way. And then, just things like that.
It's more clean, more surgical.
More clean, surgical. Use the ladder when you need it, not to use it to do top finishing moves, suplexes, and everything else.
And when you hit a big move, then don't insult the intelligence. Just go for the damn titles.
Go for the belt. Yep,
You already hit the big... Yep. Like, to me, I honestly would have been cool with Sammy doing the springboard, hitting that damn cutter, and then he climbs that. Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
But of course, usually ladder matches to add more drama to it usually involves the two top. Whoever's going to finish off the match, they're at the duel to the death at the very end.
But how many times is it they get up on top and then the guy finally falls down after trading forearms? It's like. Really? That's your finish after all of this? I mean...
We got the right guy that won, though.
Yes, we did.
And I don't know what this means for Cody going forward. I really just need Cody to take a break.
Oh, he will for 2 weeks.
He did some heel shit in this match.
Well, yeah, but...
Hitting Fuego del Sol, which actually popped for me because Fuego didn't need to be down there.
Yep, exactly.
I didn't really care for that, but... All right, moving on. Earlier during the day, a pre-recorded interview. It's Team Taz and... which was Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. This was I didn't understand the meaning of them being outside for this, but they're outside with Tony Schiavone. They came to the freezing beach in Cleveland, and this is basically just a promo to basically put it out there. They're looking to take out both Dante Martin and Jay Lethal. Tony's thinking that his hand was frozen to the mic. Moving on.
And again, something they don't. This is again with the formatting with the show and everything else. This didn't even have to be on this show.
It really there were a lot of things that didn't have to be on this show. Yeah. And we'll keep moving forward, though. We got a quick squash match, a handicap squash match. Wardlow taking out the team of Elijah Dean and James Alexander. Mr. Mayhem.
Yes.
I know your ass was chapped. See, I was more... bugged by the idea of the AEW record of Wardlow showing that he's got 7 losses.
Well, it was all mentioned on the same
But
graphic.
The Mr. Mayhem, you had the issue with.
Mayhem.
I had the issue with the record being shown that one of your the guy that right now, as far as all the big guys, they're actually doing right by. Finally.
Yes, finally.
But then you have to show me that he's got 7 losses. So you know what that makes any average fan do? Well, fuck, when did he lose 7 times? Who did he lose 7 times to? And then you start looking into the records of who he lost to, and you're like, wait a second. They booked him to lose to such and such and such and such and such and such?
Well, Moxley, Jericho,
Hager,
that Punk roll-up. There had to be some others maybe on Darker Elevation at the time. But, I mean, just right there, we can name some of those losses that he had. And, again, he shouldn't have had some of those losses. They should have kind of kept this guy a little bit cleaner. But finally, it's 2 years now, 2.5 years.
They're doing right by him.
Run.
Yeah. Now, Wardlow, he is the hometown boy. He's from the Cleveland area. So he came out to a nice ovation, came out with your boy, the chairman. Sean Spears. Powerbomb Symphony, double stack pin. This was maybe, give or take, a minute and a half. Did what it needed to be done, and I really thought that Spears was going to run into the ring and start attacking both guys with the chair. I'm so happy that they held off on that. I really thought it was going to go. I'm like, no, don't ruin it. So
don't worry, he'll ruin a segment later on.
We get Inner Circle. Jericho, Santana, Ortiz versus 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. I don't understand the purpose of continuing to put – this is nothing against Daniel Garcia and 2.0, but I don't get these guys continuously getting national television matchups with the bigger stars in the company.
Yeah.
And they just lose every single one of them.
Yeah,
don't get it.
They've never put these guys – they haven't set them up to be successful in AEW. It just – they've thrown them on TV. They've given them prime spots on both shows, Rampage and Dynamite. They've been featured matches. They're taking on the top guys. I mean, he's taking on Punk. He's in program with Jericho now. Is Garcia. I mean, they've been throwing him up there. And then they have the 2.0 guys just tagging along. And it's not like they get real heat on anybody. And they lose. They don't win. So you can't really get heat if you don't get victories or you're not a potential threat. And
a majority of the guys that they beef with are, for the most part, bigger than them.
Yes,
so you can't really take it credible that they really have a shot of winning anyways.
Never. Yeah. And again, in this match, it was, I mean, you had the storyline going on with the Inner Circle. Are they, is this finally where things are slipping for them? And I guess we're starting to tell those tea leaves out there.
So Santana and Ortiz, they felt the last several weeks based on the promos and the TV time of them talking that Jericho is holding them back from being tag champs. They want to prove that they can do this without Jericho. So we get a 6-man match. They're teaming up with their Inner Circle leader to take on these guys. Fast forward, we get into a part in this match where Garcia, he comes in, he gets knocked down, and there's no look at Jericho at all for a tag. Jericho tags himself in out of frustration because Santana and Ortiz, they're ignoring him. Santana quickly tags himself right back in. So we get this argument on the Inner Circle. As they're arguing, they end up getting jumped. Commercial break, we come back. Ortiz, he's fighting out of trouble and still ignoring Jericho's hand to tag in Santana. And then this whole thing breaks down. Jericho says, fuck it. He jumps on the outside, continues to just watch the match from afar, from down on the floor. And then he's still kind of doing his thing. Anyone from the opposition that's coming outside, he decides to work his magic out there. He pulls Lee outside, hit a very weak ass. I think they're all weak, the Judas Effect. I'm not a really big fan of the move.
No, yeah.
But Parker, he's coming through the ropes. Judas Effect on him. That allows Santana to pile drive Parker for the win. So the split is imminent.
Yeah.
The Inner Circle, they've been together for so long. Sammy's already doing his own thing. We don't really see much of Hager. I think this would allow Jericho to refresh, recharge a little, and Santana and Ortiz at this point, I don't think need them.
No, they've been held down long enough in this program for the last year and a half.
So I think that the breakup is coming, and I think Santana and Ortiz will be just fine on their own. After this match, we get a video to help promote a world title match that you've honestly forgotten about in this company. Video of Hangman Page and Lance Archer, which this ends up being announced that it's going to be a Texas death match, which is news to Page's ears. His eyes bug out of this. We get a funny bit out of it. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, we get a showdown, a stare-down showdown. Tony Schiavone, he's in the back and in between on the outside of him because he's in between both Jurassic Express, who's with Christian Cage, Private Party on the other side with Matt Hardy. This is a match that's going to go down. Matt hypes up Private Party. And then the funny part that I saw about this, because everything else about this was gibberish.
Yeah.
The funny part I will say about this is Jungle Boy pointing out that Private Party's watches are fake. So even though they've got a seat at the table for the Matt Hardy money board or whatever they got going on right now with Andrade that we did not see on this show, by the way.
Yeah.
The payouts on the stock in that company,
No.
They got to get the knockoff brands, apparently. It's not allowing them to go out and splurge, if you will. So.
Another 3 minutes he didn't need on TV here.
Afterwards, we get CM Punk. They have been promoting that Punk was going to come out and talk on the mic. He comes out and does his best to look tough, but he starts smiling. Cleveland, they're all about Punk. And Punk said that everybody knows who he wants to fight. And the CM Punk chants, they quickly go into MJF chants.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that basically the only time ever you'll hear that with MJF chants, well, unless they're Long Island.
Long Island, you'll hear it all the time.
Which we just heard that a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Punk opens up the jacket to reveal the scarf of MJF, and apparently he cracks a joke. Apparently you can get these 12-pack on Amazon for $5. And he says that everyone that MJF has thrown at him, he's beaten. So now it's time to just get it on, just him and MJF. This cues MJF to come out. He teases and trolls the crowd. Of course, he asks the fans if they want to see him wrestle right there. And he says no. He ain't going to do it in Cleveland. The match can wait for next week in Chicago, with MJF finally saying that he'll have the match. So that's what we're going to get. MJF says that he will take great pleasure in beating Punk, handing him his first loss and beating him in his hometown.
On free TV.
On free TV, baby. Punk says, no, do it here, bitch. Let's get it on here. He talks about Punk walking out in Cleveland 8 years ago. So they played into that. Mm-hmm. And he says that all Punk is going to do is walk out and then talk about it on a podcast. Punk then
Where's
said,
Colt Cabana in the back?
Yeah, Punk then said that MJF will be listening because he's a fan. He says that leaving was the best thing that he did. Now being back is the best thing that he ever did. Now Punk, he wants MJF to go put on his 3-inch lifts and come out and fight. And that the people love him because he keeps getting up and he fights just like Cleveland and Chicago. MJF, he wants to test the theory, so we get the rest of Pinnacle. Sean Spears, the chairman, PJ's boy, he comes in from behind with the sneak attack. And then we see FTR also with Pinnacle.
With him.
We haven't seen all these guys together as a unit since the Inner Circle feud. But
all together,
Wardlow's also out there as well, but Wardlow is very nonchalant in the approach. He's in the ring, but he's standing afar as these guys do a number on Punk. He's really not getting involved. But Spears and FTR, they seem to be handling Punk just fine on their own. MJF then orders Wardlow to powerbomb Punk. And Wardlow, he thinks about it, finally does so. This is Spears laying down the chair.
After his shitty chair shot.
Yes, there's a point there. FTR, they've got Punk strapped down, and Spears, who is the chairman, he hits. So he goes across the back, and so Wardlow power bombs him, but there wasn't really much force behind it.
No.
But Punk still sells it, and this segment basically ends with MJF trolling Punk. He sits CM Punk style on Punk's chest, a la the pipe bomb, to wrap up the promo. I thought, look, man, this was good heel shit.
Yep. It was the best
no
thing on the
one
show.
ran down to save Punk.
Mm-hmm.
The heel got his shit in.
Yep.
And there you go. I mean, this is going to be a match. We know how it's going to happen. Punk, unfortunately, will not get his loss to MJF. I think that if anyone is to hand him the first loss, I think it would be MJF. Here's the issue. It's too soon for Punk to lose, and there's a bigger story to tell here. This will be a Punk victory with the split clearly of MJF and Wardlow.
Potentially. I think this is a series of 3 they're going to try to get. I mean, they're giving it away, free TV. There's got to be a payoff to MJF and Punk, maybe at the pay-per-view, so maybe they get one more in here and do a best of 3. I don't know. And I know it's AEW, they don't like rematches all the time, but I could see them, if Punk is all for helping the young guys get over or whatever, nothing more than an MJF victory in Chicago would really fucking put him on the stratosphere. I'm just saying that would be huge if they decided to go that way. Problem is, then I don't know how you'd get the rest of the matches out of it to the pay-per-view if you went with that route next week.
Yeah. Afterwards, we get the Acclaim, who's in the back. These guys, they talk a good game. They're just like 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. They talk a good game, but they're also losers as much as I like these guys. This is over something that we completely forgot about, and neither did we give a shit. The Acclaim talks about how they don't like Jon Moxley, and they promise that Anthony Bowens will be beating his ass all over his home state of Ohio this Friday on Rampage.
Yes. You'll have to use ass wipes and all that other shit. I mean, it was like, okay.
We go backstage. We stay backstage into a different area. Mark Sterling, he interrupts a Varsity Blondes interview, and he shows up with Jade Cargill, and they decide they're going to handpick and give Julia Hart the next TBS title shot. Yeah. So that's what you're going to see for Beach Break this Friday for Rampage. Griff Garrison, he tries to step in and says that that Julia needs some time to heal properly. She cuts that shit off immediately and says that she can fight her own battles. So Julia Hart has accepted. And on Friday on Rampage, you will see Jade Cargill versus Julia Hart for the TBS title.
And Julia's probably third match at the company. It's, the women's division really hurting right now. Well, I mean, they've got some good up-and-comers, but I don't understand the situations for the titles. Right now.
It's suffered on this segment because right after we get a matchup of Leyla Hirsch versus Red Velvet. And I'll tell you the issues that I had with this match after I tell you about what happened in this match. This match starts off, Hirsch pulls her down to the floor, whip into the barricade, hits her with a suplex. We take a break. We come back. Velvet, she hits a running knee to the back, but she is already favoring her shoulder. Hirsch then hits a suplex, grabs the legit lock. That sends Velvet over the top of the rope. She gets back up. Yeah. She tries to roll up, but then she gets reversed into a cradle, and Hirsch grabs the trunks for victory. This match was absolutely shitty, and I'm going to tell you why, Number one, Red Velvet, Maya of the Mighty Fallen.
Yes.
We've gone from a match where she replaced Brandy Rhodes, took on Jade Cargill in her debut match, a match that involved Shaq and Cody. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're thinking, okay, maybe not world title just yet. That's going to take some time, but didn't expect her to be in something like this. This match went way too long. And the way that Velvet has been booked over the last several months, there was no real reason to believe that she would be able to hang with Laila Hirsch.
No.
This match went almost 10 minutes.
Yeah.
She was already favoring a shoulder. So you're thinking a submission is bound to happen because Laila Hirsch is a badass submission-style shoot fighter.
Yeah.
Laila Hirsch, already a wounded Red Velvet, has to roll her up and hold the tights to get a victory.
Yeah.
Tell me what's wrong there.
Well, then the post-match is when she goes for the armbar.
We just could have ended the match with that.
Exactly. That should have been the ending of your match. The selling in this was absolutely horrid. There was a spot where I believe Red Velvet, Layla had her back down. I think she was either working on the shoulder or the leg at the time.
I was going to throw it out there. This shit should have been on Dark.
Yes.
Chris Statlander is no longer in the title picture against Britt Baker. So to me, and Hirsch and Velvet are a part of this because of the Statlander connection, but Statlander already lost her match.
Yeah.
So I don't need to see on the flagship show. Yeah. No disrespect to these ladies, but Hirsch and Velvet didn't do anything. This is something that could have been handled on Dark. Because guess what? When these three got together and they started having issues, if you didn't watch Dark, you didn't know that they were having issues to begin with.
So
why can't we leave it on Dark?
Yeah. I don't understand that. I think they're trying to think people are going to get the attention drawn from if they put it on Dynamite, they're going to start watching the YouTube shows. No, they're not.
And I like Laila Hirsch. I actually legitimately like Laila Hirsch.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she's a submission-style shoot. That's what she's portrayed as. And she
Let
had
her
to pull
win
the
that
tights
way.
against someone who was favoring the shoulder. Yeah, she starts beating on Red Velvet. Chris Statlander comes down to make the save, and she runs off. After this, we get a promo of the House of Black. They're cutting a promo on PAC, so that is not done. I thought it was very well shot, but of course Malachi Black, this guy's a creative type of guy. He knows what he wants. And so we get him and Brody King, and they're cutting their promos. Okay, after this, we get a segment back in the ring. It's Tony Schiavone introducing his homegirl, Britt Baker. Now, she's in Cleveland, so of course she's got to come out in the Steeler colors.
Yep.
She comes down, she gets into the ring, and we see a bunch of blown-up magazines, a bunch of Pro Wrestling Illustrated awards that she's recently won. And I'm telling you, I actually like this except for one part. I thought that this was a little repetitive, but I liked what we were doing here. She was shitting on the Cleveland fans.
Well, yeah.
She talked about how the Steelers beat the Browns, and she listed off a bunch of Baker Mayfield's failures. Mm-hmm. And I love this part. She after she did it again, like I said, the main issue that I had was that it was a little oddly repetitive. Yeah. But I like this. She said that she is the Baker that you can count on. This is what she told the Cleveland crowd. Good. So I actually thought that was really good.
Yeah.
In segment there, before we get into the main event, actually before that, we get a stare down again. They're there to remind you that 2 weeks ago, a challenge was laid down. Arn Anderson and his son and Lee Johnson and FTR and Tully Blanchard in the back.
It was supposed to be this week because they said next week on Dynamite.
This will now, I believe, be officially on Rampage for Friday.
So we already shifted it to Rampage.
So they wanted to remind you of that. All right, and then we get a very unnecessary. This didn't do anything for me either. We get Vicki Guerrero coming out with Nyla Rose. Vicki, I thought, was supposed to be the talking mouthpiece for Nyla Rose.
Was supposed to
be. Well,
be.
Vicki came out and did her excuse me and then handed the mic to Nyla Rose, who then cut the damn promo about how Ruby Soho cost her the TBS title, and now a challenge has been thrown out there for Ruby to accept.
Everyone's cost everyone in this. Mercedes Martinez cost Thunder Rosa, so now we have Soho and Nyla Rose in it. I mean, just too much.
This has no implications of either one of them getting a title shot at Baker.
No.
Or even Jade Cargill, for that matter. So why is this on the flagship?
I'm giving Julia Hart a title shot, folks. I don't even know where she is on the ranking system. Last week, the number 2 rated person supposedly got a title shot.
Hey, damn it. She wrapped her arm in barbed wire, and she went all out, baby. And don't you forget. All right, main event. Let's go ahead. Let's end this. We're down the home stretch of the AEW Dynamite for January 26, 2022. An unsanctioned lights-out match in Cleveland going down with Adam Cole, Baby, and Orange Cassidy. They both come down. They both get very well-receptive applauses by the crowd. They're both in opposite corners. They do the stare down. Cassidy takes off the glasses, and with his hands, he breaks and crushes them. So he's ready for the brawl.
Yes.
They go at it. Fight quickly gets to the outside on the floor with Cole being sent into a barricade. Cole gets back up and gets some shots in of his own. That sends Cassidy down. And it's time to get the chair. And as he lifts up the tarp, the apron on the ring, and I know you probably internally popped on this.
I did.
He grabs the chair, but that's not the only thing that comes out with the chair, or was it, PJ?
No, it wasn't. It was a very evil figure.
We get Danhausen,
yes,
who comes also from underneath the ring with the chair. He has a stare down with Cole.
And then he just walks away.
And then he just walked away.
He said, fuck this. I ain't done with this shit. I just wanted my chair under the ring, bastard.
Yeah. So he points at Cole. It's a stare and distract maneuver. Orange was able out of nowhere. He hits Cole with a DDT, and then Orange, he seems to be just as confused as Cole about Danhausen. But, hey, you already know, and it was confirmed, Danhausen is now officially All Elite. Yep. Tony Khan announced this on Twitter. They've signed Danhausen. And, of course, if Danhausen's going to come in, of course, who's he going to be affiliated with first? Orange Cassidy, the best. Of course, right?
Yep.
So, of course, and I will say this, and I'll continue to talk about this as we talk about this match, but I actually enjoyed watching Orange Cassidy in this match. I thought there were certain things that he did that I liked very well. His sell job. He did a really great job. They didn't really do a nod, wink into the camera type. There weren't too many spots like that in this match, and I'll get on that in a second. Cassidy gets sent into a post, and then he hops up on the apron. Cole tried for Panama Sunrise off that apron, but then Orange Cassidy, he's able to he tried turning that into a beach break, and then Cole got to his feet. And Orange just lifts him, drops him through the table nearby, and then Cassidy wants to do the Orange Punch. He goes for it, but Cole holds the ring bell up in the way, and Cole sent Orange into the steps. So Cole put his fingers between the ring and the steps, kicked the steps, and then that allowed Cole to grab a trash can and toss that into the ring. So Cassidy has hurt his hand, and he does an unbelievable sell job, I thought, with this. The trash can, it's in the ring. We come back. Cole and Orange, they're playing this tug of war with this chain. And Cole wins that because Orange Cassidy is selling his hand.
Yep.
So
yeah,
I thought that was good stuff. He's favoring the hand all throughout this. Cole ends up hitting a brain buster. That's good enough for 2. And then Cole decides to set up some chairs for another brain buster, but Orange is able to escape, hits the stun dog, lifts Cole, hits a Michinoku driver onto the chairs, and then Orange's hand is now bleeding, and that allows Cole to hit him with a super kick. Cole ends up calling for some help. This is a part of the match that you knew was going to happen, but we really didn't need it.
No.
Cole calls for help. Here comes Brandon Cutler with some of his damn cold spray. Yuta comes in to equalize and take out Cutler. Mm-hmm. Then we get Fish that comes out that beat on Yuta's ass. Then Chuck Taylor comes out to send Fish into a barricade. And then here comes the Bucks for some double super kicks to Chuck Taylor. They get into the ring. All 3 are waiting for Orange Cassidy. But now here comes Chuck and Rocky, and they pull the Bucks back out of the ring.
Yeah.
So we get a beach break maneuver, cover 1-2, and that's all it is. It's a 2 count. Orange then rips off the pad. He's hyped. He's jacked. He starts screaming. We get the orange punch for the orange punch. Mm-hmm. He's clearly in pain. Cole goes for the low blow, but Cole ended up hurting himself on the low blow because it's revealed that Orange Cassidy has on a cup.
Of course.
With thumbtacks on it.
Because that's the kind of cup you want to have.
I was actually fine with this spot because how many more times are you going to continue? We always poke fun at wrestlers who constantly fall for getting low blowed all the time. You would think that Brock Lesnar would pick up on thumbtacks.
Come on.
You would think that Brock Lesnar would start wearing a cup.
Yeah, because
as many times as Seth Rollins was low blowing him. Anyways, we get Orange with a vicious kicks of doom, and then Orange goes to the top rope. It's Panama Sunrise of his own to Adam Cole. Only good enough for 2. I got a big issue, of course. We talk about the Canadian Destroyers, the Panama Sunrise. These are finishers in my book. I'm not a big fan of those being kicked out at 2.
They're just transition spots now.
Orange ended up grabbing a chain. His hand's still hurting. Cole leaves the ring. They go up the ramp, and Cole then decides to go through the tunnel. Orange Cassidy is right behind him. Hits a right. Still selling the hand. Mm-hmm. Cole leaves down some steps. We see Tony Khan. And then we see Jerry Lynn, who's covering Khan. And then Cole shoves Lynn. Lynn, you would never think that Lynn was ever a professional wrestler. No. He looks scared as fuck all throughout this little interaction.
Remember, he was a professional judge just 3 weeks ago for the heavyweight championship.
Right, for the 60-minute Iron Man match, part 2.
Now they have him look like shit in the back.
Cole then grabs Orange Cassidy, hits a driver into the table nearby. That's only good enough for a 2. And Tony Khan's just awkwardly just standing there.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of the shot.
Yeah, How many times have you seen Vince in the back in one of these matches just standing
It's like
there?
If you're not going to play a part into the outcome of this match, get the hell out of the shot.
Get the hell out of there. Yep.
Or at least he knew that they were going to come that way. Why even be there in the first place?
Yeah.
Was it Tony just want some shine time?
I'm going to guess that's what it was.
Tony wants some shine time? All right.
Because he usually just comes on after the show's off the air, and then he does the awkward promo where he yells. But
it's like he's about to cry or he's about to pass out from the lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
All right, where was I? We get Khan. Yeah, all right. So we get Cole, who grabs Orange Cassidy, hits a right hand, sends Orange Cassidy back into the steps towards the tunnels. They walk back out. Cole hits him with another right hand, super kick to Orange Cassidy, and then Cole drops the knee pad, and he's going to run and finish off Cassidy, but it turns out he was faking it the entire time. He hops up, super kicks Cole himself, wraps the chain around his fists, runs, and then Cole hits him with hits him as well. Mm-hmm. And then we find these guys, they find something to climb.
Yeah, because it wasn't enough just to beat the shit out of each other and all that.
No, we see Cole, he's on top of something. He's standing tall. Big screen is behind him. At this point, we don't know where Orange Cassidy is. He's gone. Well, it turns out Undertaker, graveyard match style, he pops up right behind him, low blows Cole. And then they both just awkwardly stand there. I just wish that they just would have just done the move. They made it a little too dramatic for my liking. They're standing there, and it just looked like Cassidy was just hugging Cole more than anything. I mean, Cassidy's not that much bigger. They're about the same size.
And the way they shot it, it looked like it was like 70 feet in the air.
No, it looked a little too comical, but they're standing there, hands in the air. He's hugging on Cole. They both look down. Cole's trying to escape. Orange tells Cole to hold him, which I don't know if you saw that.
He did.
And then they end up falling through the stage area with an elbow. The ref counts. He counts for the pin, the 1, 2, 3. This was a match that I thought, for me, look, I didn't mind the match. I just feel that Cassidy could have gotten a win before we got this far. You've beat this guy the entire time. To me, for right now, nobody wins in this, because if Cole's been beating this guy the entire time, what was the point for this match? Not one time was Britt Baker's name even mentioned, right? Because this whole match came about because of Britt Baker going through a table last week.
Which, again, she had no neck brace on or anything during her ripping the Cleveland Browns segment to sell that.
It never happened.
Never happened.
Apparently.
So then you had this spot. Adam Cole is officially dead.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Because this was an unsanctioned match. It doesn't count. He's still undefeated in AEW, sir.
No one gives a shit. You saw it with your own eyes. He lost tonight. Again, this guy used to be the NXT World Champion. He was putting on matches with some of the best of the best. And now we have him losing to Orange Cassidy and his crew in almost his debut. Now we argue. We talk about Punk can't take a loss. Danielson can't take a loss, but Cole can.
At this point, regardless how you feel about him, it is not the worst thing in the world to lose to Orange Cassidy.
It's the fucking worst thing in the world.
It was an unsanctioned, unranked match. Cole,
I don't give a shit about their shitty rankings. People who tuned in watched it.
Britt Baker lost a lights-out unsanctioned match to Thunder Rosa and was the damn champ within 6 weeks.
Orange Cassidy is not going to become the champ. Spoiler, I'm sorry to hand it to you.
He's still selling merch, baby.
He can sell all the fucking merch he wants, but he ain't going to do any other shit.
PJ hating. Pay attention. PJ not a fan of the...
Well, 3/4 of the audience didn't know it was an unsanctioned match until you mentioned it, because they didn't mention it where they shit on the broadcast.
Well, I thought that was automatic, though, when you called this a lights-out match, right?
No, who the hell knows in this company? There's no rules anyways. You see the same goddamn match week after week. That's why I don't know why they have to call it a lights-out match. Remember, we were confused when they first had a lights-out match. We thought the actual fucking lights were going to go out, because this is the same company that had an exploding ring with sparklers. So who the hell knows?
PJ with the extra spice.
You're fucking right.
I'm Slade. Bush League Mud Show. This is your AEW review, January 26, 2022. Overall, you would give this a what? I'm gonna be a little generous. Give them a B-. I thought between the opening and the closing match, those were fine. A lot of the stuff in between, I could have done without. They did, once again, another shitty job of trying to get you invested into a world title match between Hangman and Lance Archer.
Yeah.
The Laila Hirsch,
by the way,
Red
does
Velvet.
Jake still own Lance or not? We haven't heard anything in that, did we? Was there a purchase somewhere or not?
What kind of Janko shit?
I don't know. Because didn't Dan Lambert buy his services or some weird shit?
I don't know, but we did see during the TNT title match there was a shot that they didn't make any mention of too much of Dan Lambert and Scorpio Sky in the stands.
Just a random shot.
Didn't they cut a promo previous week saying they were going to be watching that match closely?
Very closely.
They were watching it from the stands, and it didn't mean it. I don't know what the point was of them coming out to say that.
Exactly, and then you had Fuego del Sol as the interference in that match when it should have been Scorpio Sky if you wanted the guy to make an impact.
In between the opening and the closing match, that's just one of the things I thought we could have did with that on the show. I'll give him a B-. PJ, you're saying?
I'll give him a C-.
Okay, that averages out to, what, about C plus B?
I'm going to go with a C. That's what I'm going with. I don't care about the averages.
All right, guys.
The show is C for fucking shitty. The C.
We'll be back at you in a couple days. We give you a breakdown, SmackDown, and Rampage, Beach Break Part 2 for the week, and we'll give you news tidbits, headlines. We'll talk a little bit more about Danhausen officially being All Elite and more.
And Ronda Rousey in the Rumble.
Is this official?
I'm just throwing it out there. I keep hearing more and more that might be possible.
We'll talk about that
on
on Friday. All right, until then, guys.